Chapter 581, Yao Qinglong returns to the country. As the 4 SUVs left, Tang Xiu instructed Qinan to order all the staff in the backyard to leave and told that no one was allowed to come, as he then went alone and opened the container truck by himself. Inside the container truck were 88 black suitcases, each of them filled with medicinal herbs. According to the prescription made by Tang Xiu back then, there were a total of 88 kinds of precious herbs. Tang Xiu opened one of the suitcases and examined the properties and age of the herbs before he stored the suitcases inside his interspatial ring one by one. A regretful look appeared on his face after he put away all the suitcases. These rare herbs collected by Li Jiren were required to refine the marrow purifying pill, and were definitely enough to concoct more than 100 marrow purifying pills. Although the rare herbs required to refine the life essence pill had also been collected, among the 3 most important herbs needed, only the 500 years old fleeceflower root had been collected. The blood droplet seed and the millennium snow lotus were still missing. According to the ratio to concoct the marrow purifying pill, these herbs sent by Li Jiren would be enough to produce hundreds of life essence pills. Unfortunately, the millennium snow lotus and blood droplet seed were not collected. I'm afraid that refining the life essence pill will be very difficult. Tang Xiu suppressed his regret. He knew that a man must not be greedy, and getting a lot of medicinal herbs to refine the marrow purifying pill and life essence pill was already a big harvest. The millennium snow lotus and blood droplet seed were medicinal herbs that were something that may come by with luck and couldn't be sought. Tang Xiu himself had actually obtained the millennium snow lotus before, but it had been used by Ji Qimei to refine a medicine pill already. Haste will only make waste. Tang Xiu knew perfectly well about this truth. He then turned his head to look at Qinan after closing the container truck's door. There was surprised look on her face. You will also have your own interspatial ring in the future if you can reach a level I'm satisfied with. All right, I have other things to tend to, so I'll go back. After dropping these words, Tang Xiu then headed to his car and drove away. While watching the leaving car quietly, Qinan's face was full of anticipation. She wished to have a lot of cultivation resources and more so own her own interspatial ring. There was one thing she realized. If she owned an interspatial ring, it would be much easier to do things regardless of whatever she did and wherever she went. The most important priority for me now is getting money. Qinan clenched her fist with a firm expression. 12 in the dead of the night. As Tang Xiu arrived back at the Blue Star Villa complex, he found that Kong Xia was not resting in his bedroom, but sat quietly on the bed while reading financial statements instead. The newly listed healthcare products had produced very good results, and the returned capital also made the financial situation of the magnificent Tang Corporation ampler. However, she also knew that Tang Xiu had a big plan. In particular, the internal purchase of the Star City's new city, the construction of the company headquarters in Shanghai along with its relocation, the construction of the plants and factories along with the equipment that came in line with them, and so on, all of which could be put simply that there were many places of the money to be allocated to. You're not asleep yet? Asked Tang Xiu with a smile after taking off his coat and hanging it. Kong Xia closed the financial statements report and chuckled. You've come back. Anyways, I'm preparing to return to Star City tomorrow, and there's already a big pile of issues waiting for me to address there. Have you reserved the flight ticket? Asked Tang Xiu. I'll drive you over to the airport. I already booked the flight. Kong Xia still replied softly despite feeling unwilling inside. This night, the two fell into a frenzied state, pressing against each other, and then falling asleep while embracing each other after the desperate fight. In the next morning, Tang Xiu sent Kong Xia to the Shanghai airport and then returned to Blue Star Villa complex. On the way there, Tang Xiu received a call from Yang Lu. Back then, he dragged him to Jingmen Island since he needed him to deal with some matters. Since the matter was relatively easy to resolve whereas the matter with the Tang family took more time, Yang Lu thus had nothing to do and spent some time in Jingmen Island before returning to Shanghai with Han Qingguo. After returning home and entering the living room, Tang Xiu saw Yang Lu and Dai Xingyue looking at each other in consternation. He let out a faint smile and said, "You two should already be acquainted with each other, right?" "No, we aren't." Dai Xingyue and Yang Lu spoke in unison. The two immediately glared at each other and flung their faces at the same time. Tang Xiu was stumped for words. He couldn't help but force a smile and ask, "What's wrong? Is there some misunderstanding or something between the two of you?" Dai Xingyue stood up and said, "Master, this guy is a scumbag, he." "Don't listen to this girl's gibberish, Tang Xiu. It's just a misunderstanding, really." Yang Lu also hastily got up and exasperatedly said, "Who would have known that she was relieving herself in the toilet? I was a bit hurried to answer the call of nature when I came to your place here, so I just..." Tang Xiu was instantly aware of the matter and laughed, Okay. It's a misunderstanding and since you two have said it, then forget it. Anyways, Yang Lu, you called me and said that there are important things so you needed to find me. What is it, exactly? Brother Tang, tell her to leave. I don't trust this girl." Yang Lu pointed to Dai Xingyue. Again, Tang Xiu was stumped for words. "Who the hell cares about you, huh?" Dai Xingyue snappily glared at Yang Lu and scornfully said, "Master, I'm going out with Auntie Zhang to buy some groceries. Do you have anything you need to buy?" No, Tang Xiu shook his head. As Dai Xingyue and the housekeeper Zhang Xinlan left, Yang Lu came to Tang Xiu's side and spoke in a low voice. "My eldest senior brother has returned to China and is now in Shanghai." "Yao Qinglong?" Tang Xiu's brows creased as he asked. "Yeah, it's him." Yang Lu nodded. "I just received his summons, saying that he has come to Shanghai and wants to meet with me. The Yao family is almost finished, and the rest of their members who escaped death by a hairbreadth have also left Beijing hurriedly to hide through various means. For Yao Qinglong to come to Shanghai and not appear in Beijing, what does he want to do? I'm also curious about that." Yang Lu shook his head. "Therefore, I didn't flatly refuse him after he contacted me and came to find you to discuss it. I always had a nagging feeling that he's up to no good given that he looked for me all of a sudden like this. Go see him and find out what his real intention is." Tang Xiu pondered for a moment and seriously said, "I remember you saying he's very ambitious. Considering he has been abroad for so many years, no one knows how big his energy at present. Though I'm not afraid of him, I fear troublesome matters. He's a risky variable, thus I must employ every possible means to remove him." After hesitating for a moment, Yang Lu replied in a low voice, If he really wants to be your enemy, can you promise me one thing?" "Tell me," said Tang Xiu calmly. "Though when all is said and done, he's still my eldest senior brother. Can you spare him at the last moment?" asked Yang Lu. Tang Xiu answered, "Sparing his life is not out of the possibility. You tell me, do you think it's better to make him a living dead? Or do you want him to meet his demise early and be reincarnated earlier?" This, Yang Lu was silent for a while, before he reluctantly nodded and said, "Treat it as I didn't say anything, then. I'll help you figure out the true purpose of his return to the country, whereas you'll solve the problem yourself. I'm afraid that I must go abroad tomorrow and will only come back after some time." "Copy that." Tang Xiu nodded. He knew Yang Li's character. He was sandwiched between him and his eldest senior brother, and it was very hard for him to act. The reason for his trip abroad was probably to avoid suspicion. At noon, Yang Lu met his eldest senior brother, Yao Qinglong, in a cafe. What made him surprised was that Yao Qinglong not only not felt pain due to what happened to the Yao family, but looked overjoyed instead. Even the smiling expression on his face was very rich. "What exactly do you want from me?" Yang Lu sat on the chair across him wearing his ever-present frivolous appearance. "What do you want to drink?" asked Yao Qinglong with a smile. Seeing you makes me don't have the taste to drink anything. Yang Lu waved his hand. If you want fart then burst it out quickly, don't waste my time. Yao Qinglong seemed accustomed to Yang Li's attitude and only smiling lightly in response. Junior brother, though master has passed away, we're still martial brothers after all. I just wanted to see you and talk about the old days. This should be okay, no? You're a cunning schemer, and you think what you can get from others. Yang Lu spoke with a despising expression. I'm afraid that you and I have fallen short of treating each other like that. Now, are you gonna spit it out or not? If you won't, then I'll leave. Alright, still throwing tantrums, brat. I'm already accustomed to it. Okay, then I'll tell you something important. I got a business deal that I need your help with. I'll give you a commission of 100 million after the deal is successful. 100 million, eh? What a great deal. Yang Lu revealed a surprised look as his eyes searched Yao Qinglong. It is a big deal, indeed. Some people have paid quite a high price for the formulas of several products of the magnificent Tang Corporation. Many people are paying attention to this company and many already attacked it, and yet all of them eventually ended up in failure. I took over the deal, so I came to Shanghai directly to find you after returning to the country. Moreover, second and third have already agreed and are now on the way to Shanghai as well. The magnificent Tang Corporation? Yang secretly sighed inwardly and somewhat felt contempt as well as sympathized with Yao Qinglong. What he despised was that Yao Qinglong actually didn't bother and ignore the kinship affection even though the members of his Yao family had partly dispersed and partly died with their lives hung by a thread at present, whereas the sympathy he had for him was because he was targeting the magnificent Tang Corporation. Others didn't know the details about this company, but he was crystal clear about it. With those fearful stratagems Tang Shou possessed as well as those non-human guys from the Everlasting Feast Hall, Yao Qinglong and the other disciples of the thief branch would never have their wishes come true. Yang Lu fell into silence for a while, before he slowly said, I have a problem. Are you a member of the Yao family? According to the news I heard, the Yao family is in a disastrous state and their people are kind of falling from the clouds, as many of them are in peril and danger. You are a member of the Yao family, yet you don't even seem to care about them? Yao Qinglong's eyes squinted. A killing intent flickered in his eyes as he indifferently said, this big enmity must be avenged, that's for sure. But how much do you think the odds of me winning are? I know what you are implying, you think that I have a cold heart, right? 10 years are never too long for a man to take his revenge. The weak me paying off old scores with a very strong hated enemy is akin to pitting a rock against a boulder. It will only cause my own destruction. Ultimately, not only revenge will be an impossibility, I'll even throw myself onto the gallows instead. Chapter 582, Scheming Each Other. The words spoken by Yao Qinglong was reasonable and Yang Lu approved them as well. However, he was crystal clear that Yao Qinglong would only bring about his own decimation if he wanted to take revenge on Tang Shou. Prior to this, he used to have a similar feeling of affection to him as someone from the same root. But after the death of their master, Yao Qinglong had treated him by hook or by crook and even wanted his life, before he eventually escaped him, causing all the friendship and affection to dry up. Did you forget what I told you before, Qinglong? We are no longer martial brothers. You can do what you want as you have the freedom to do so, but that will have no relationship with me whatsoever. If you have nothing else to say, then I will take my leave. Then he stood up from the chair, ready to leave. Curling up his mouth, Yao Qinglong said, you know, junior brother, it seems like the fortune our master sent to you before his death is more than I imagined. Even 100 million is not enough to move you. With a drastic change in expression, Yang Lu angrily said, all the things left behind by master were acquired by myself. My own abilities. You don't need to concern yourself with your trifling skills. The expression on Yao Qinglong's face changed into that of indifference as he replied lightly, That old geezer calculated that we could never obtain them, so he left that kind of training to you, huh? Humph. He's dead already, and his things must be equally divided. Of course, I'll never mention it again if you help me snatch the magnificent Tang Corporation's products formulas this time. I will even give some compensation to second and third brothers so as to make them give up. How about it? Keep dreaming. Yang Lu scornfully rebuked loudly. I, Yang Lu, may be afraid of anything else, but not threats. I used to see us as martial bothers before, I even let go of the matter of you trying to kill me. But don't blame me for being ruthless and forget the past friendship if you dare to strike at me again. Yao Qinglong couldn't help but burst into laughter. What the hell are you talking about, junior brother? How could I, your senior brother, scheme to murder you? I won't force you to do something if you really don't want to. Anyhow, you can go deal with your things. When the second and third arrive, we'll straightly head to Blue Star Villa to have a drink with you. While clenching his fists, killing intent flashed out of Yang Li's eyes. Since Yao Qinglong knew where he lived, it meant that they had investigated him. It was clearly a threat. They were highly likely to point their blades at him if he didn't help them. Look at your face, junior brother. You seem like you don't welcome us. Yao Qinglong smilingly said. I think you should sit still and continue chatting with me if you don't want us to do so. Maybe you'll change your mind after a while. I will never change my mind, not a chance. Yang Lu said coldly. Of course, visit me if you want, and I'll welcome you warmly. I only wish that you won't die. Having said that, he turned around and walked outside the cafe, as Yao Qinglong's smiling face froze. Bam! Yao Qinglong slapped the table as he watched Yang Li's back disappear. Killing intent surged inside him. Brat, you have no idea of death or danger, eh? Then I'll make you suffer, and we'll see whether you can continue to persist in the face of death. Japan, on the summit of Fujiyama. Kawako Yamamoto was sitting cross-legged under a cherry tree while embracing a katana. She was wearing a black exercise suit and let the drizzle wet her hair. Whoosh! A ghostly figure silently appeared in front of her and then knelt on her knee. The figure was a woman with white hair in front of her forehead, as she reported respectfully, "Young lady, the item has been obtained and is on the way here. It will be delivered tomorrow morning at the latest." Kawako suddenly opened her eyes with a pleasantly surprised look in her eyes, as she then replied in satisfaction, "They did a good job. That item doesn't have much use for me, but all right, tell them to not leave any trace." Understood. The woman in ninja attire replied. Her body swayed and disappeared from the spot. A smile finally appeared on Kawako's face as she spoke. "Hanako, help me reserve a flight ticket to China, Shanghai. Also, inform my father that I'm going to China to continue negotiating the cooperation issues with the magnificent Tang Corporation." Affirmative. A voice came from behind the tree, as calmness followed shortly after. Shanghai, Blue Star Villa Complex. When Yang Lu returned, he found that he was being tailed. He didn't head straight to Tang Shou's place but returned to Villa number 11. He then walked to his bedroom's window and observed the situation outside before taking out his mobile to call Tang Shou. "Are you back already?" Tang Shou's voice was heard from the mobile phone. "Tang Shou, I need your help," said Yang Lu. "Tell me." "What is it?" asked Tang Shou. "I'm afraid that Yao Qinglong, Du Yonghe, and Xiao Jian are going to attack me tonight. I hope you can kill them for me," said Yang Lu. "Why do they want to kill you?" Tang Shou raised his brows. "Also, how come they know that you live here?" "Yao Qinglong must have sent some people to investigate my whereabouts. I always move covertly in Shanghai, but I've been staying here for too long, and investigating it would be easy given their abilities. Anyhow, I also have found out Yao Qinglong's purpose in seeking me. They want my help in stealing the formulas of the several products belonging to the magnificent Tang Corporation. I flatly rejected, said Yang Lu. I see. Tang Xiu immediately hung up after saying that. Originally, he wasn't in a rush to remove Yao Qinglong. He had never seen Yao Qinglong's Dao abilities, though the man was a disciple of Thief Branch. Given that he actually wanted to attack the magnificent Tang Corporation to steal their products' formulas, that was something that could not be forgiven. Those formulas were the capital he relied on to make money, and his loss would be too great if Yao Qinglong were to steal them. You refuse the path to heaven, and to the gate of hell shall you be thrown on your own accord. Tang Xiu sneered and then contacted Qi Nan. Though his strength was very formidable, some fish may escape if too many people came from the other party. Therefore, he needed the experts from the Everlasting Feast Hall to lay out an inescapable net. Even if the other party send a lot of masters, they must never be allowed to return. In the previous cafe, Yao Qinglong had not left yet, and sat quietly on the chair while savoring his coffee. He was silently thinking of something. The reason he first straightly headed to Shanghai after returning to China was not that he didn't care about the present situation the Yao family was in, but because he didn't want to expose himself. The Yao family was very important. But that was because the previous Yao family who could bring him some benefits. As of now, the Yao family was akin to a stray dog, and the entire foundation of the family was likely stolen by others. From the intelligence he gathered, he was aware of the fact that it may not take long before Beijing would no longer have a Yao family. All of this was not important to him, however. What was more important was the formulas of those several products belonging to the magnificent Tang Corporation. His return this time was with this difficult mission at hand. Senior brother. Senior brother. Two voices came from a distance, as Du Yonghe and Xiao Jian appeared in front of Yao Qinglong with smiling faces. Though these three martial brothers each had his own axe to grind and had their own schemes in mind, yet they seemingly got along with each other harmoniously on the surface. Yao Qinglong got up and hugged them both as he motioned for them to sit on the other side of the sofa. Then he laughed and said, "You two came fast. Senior brother, you summoned us, so it's natural for us to seize the time and catch up," said Du Yonghe smilingly. "Anyhow, what about that brat, Yang Lu? Didn't you say that you were going to see him in advance? That brat didn't want to be associated with us. He simply flung his face away and left." Yang Lu sneered. "He's just refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, I think." Du Yonghe scornfully murmured. "Senior brother, I'll kill him today as long as you command it. Besides, that brat must have taken all the fortunes our master left behind. We weren't able to kill him last time, so I haven't vented out the bottled-up anger inside me. Let's look for him. If he doesn't take out all the fortunes left by master, then let's just kill him." Qiao Jian echoed. "I refuse to believe that he would rather keep all the wealth and doesn't give a damn care to his own life, no? Don't worry. It's not suitable for us to act in broad daylight now. Besides, I've already sent people to find his tracks. I'm sure that he just wants to escape now, and can't shake off my informers," said Yao Qinglong with a chuckle. "Anyhow, I'll tell you the main purpose for your coming here. I need to get the formulas of the products of the magnificent Tang Corporation. I'll give each one of you 100 million yuan if you help me get them." Du Yonghe and Xiao Jian exchanged looks. Shocked expressions appeared on their faces. What shocked them the most was not because they had to steal the formulas of the magnificent Tang Corporation's products, but the compensation promised by Yao Qinglong. 100 million? Even if they were both disciples of Thief Branch and also possessed good abilities and had their own businesses, the total wealth they had in hands was probably less than 100 million yuan. "What a big deal, senior brother!" Du Yonghe exclaimed. "A great deal indeed," said Yao Qinglong with a chuckle. "The buyer is willing to pay 400 million yuan, and I originally intended to divide it equally between the four of us. But that brat, Yang Lu, turned out to reject me. It must be because the fortune left by master is quite a lot. Du Yonghe scornfully commented. Else he would never ignore or be moved by this amount of money. Senior brother, we must kill Yang Lu to get the fortune left by master. 40% will be yours, and we'll take 30% each at that time. Yao Qinglong secretly jeered at him, yet he let out a satisfied smile on the surface, saying, well, since you agreed with the share, then welcome aboard. If Yang Lu is willing to help me steal those products' formulas, however, we must not attack him before the operation is over. We'll only kill him after. No problem. Du Yonghe and Shou Jian were as though seeing a huge fortune waving to them as they nodded in contentment. They had long coveted the wealth left by their master, but their strength was unfortunately under Yang Li's. Eventually, they weren't able to see even the shadow of a dime from that wealth. As long as they were able to kill Yang Lu and get that wealth, they were pretty sure that even a 30% share would be equal to the pay promised by Yao Qinglong. Chapter 583, Like a Rat in the Hole. The time slipped by fast and the night had fallen already. Blue Star Villa Complex was the same as usual, with its streetlights brightly illuminating the villa complex, whereas a faint smell of soil floated up amid the drizzling rain. Yang Lu was staying in the villa number 11 while quietly hiding in the attic of the building. He constantly observed the surroundings with the binoculars and occasionally glanced at the villa number 9 next door. They are here. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. His left hand grabbed a silver pistol and aimed its muzzle at the several figures approaching villa number 11. Despite Tang Xiu not saying a word that he would help him when he called, he was confident that Tang Xiu would act. As a matter of fact, the reason why he didn't directly leave was that he regarded himself as bait for Tang Xiu to fish several big fish, while also removing trouble for himself. Inside the villa number 9, Tang Xiu quietly stood next to the window in the study room while observing the situation outside through the slit of the curtain. When several ghostly figures silently appeared outside the courtyard of villa number 11, he then dialed a cell number and spoke a few words. The fish entered the net. At this time, even the apprehensive Yang Lu was aware that 2 experts from the Everlasting Feast Hall were already waiting for a long time, in his bedroom. They were holding daggers and bloodlust sparks filled their eyes, whereas 8 others hid in the other rooms of the villa. Whoosh! 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 A martial artist with extraordinary skill easily entered by jumping off the wall, whereas more than a dozen sneaked into the villa using various means. Following which, 3 figures then appeared from afar. I know you're at home, junior brother. We came to visit you here, why don't open the door and invite us inside? Yao Qinglong's loud voice sounded from the courtyard outside. On the corner of the attic, Yang Lu looked through the slit on the window toward the 3 people standing outside. He was silent for a while before walking out of the attic and standing on the edge of the building, saying, since all the people you brought here have already come in, do the 3 of you still need me to open the door? The trio exchanged looks as they immediately jumped over the front gate with ease, and quickly appeared in the courtyard. At this moment, the originally dark villa turned bright, as 6 stocky men who had sneaked into the villa ahead of time appeared in the first-floor hall. Junior brother, you don't need to hide your head and tuck your tail in front of your martial brothers, right? Said Yao Qinglong lightly. Yang Li's figure appeared on the stairs. As he stepped down the staircase, his grim eyes swept over the 6 stocky men before eventually landing on the trio. He then took a deep sigh before coming to their front and saying, to be honest, maybe I still care about the feeling of fellowship between us, thus I could guarantee your lives if you didn't come tonight. Unfortunately, the moment you step into my courtyard, the only thing between us now is a life and death struggle. Tell me, junior brother. Who the fuck gives you such confidence? Du Yonghe jeered. Life and death fight, huh? Bah, it is you who will die, whereas we'll live. We were careless and let you escape from us several times back then, junior brother, said Shou Jian coldly. But this time, we have laid down an inescapable net for you. It's impossible for you to escape again even if you have wings plugged into your body. Hence, do hand over all the things left behind by our master before his death if you don't want to die. Else don't blame for us being ruthless and ignoring our fellowship. Yang Lu shot them a look, as he then suddenly burst into laughter and said, "This is so funny that it's ridiculous. Now I suddenly have a feeling that the death of our master must be related to you all." Huh? Yao Qinglong, Du Yonghe, and Qiu Jian all had a change in expression. With his astute mind, Yang Lu could observe the tiny changes in their expressions and could sense the problem instantly as he shouted again, "Don't think that I don't know. Master was very healthy back then, yet he suddenly fell ill and passed away early. The three of you are nothing but despicable and shameless scumbags who forgot the grace of Master's teachings, even committed high treason, assaulting the old man treacherously. What a huge disgrace." Yao Qinglong only frowned and watched Yang Lu in silence. The hot-tempered Du Yonghe, however, couldn't keep the matter inside and directly admitted after hearing Yang Li's words, "Fine. We'll no longer conceal it anymore since you already found out. He was indeed our master, but he had been very partial and doted on you more than on the three of us. If we didn't kill him, he would likely give all his treasures to you." Second brother. Yao Qinglong's expression suddenly changed greatly as he angrily shouted at him. A disbelieving expression burst from Yang Li's eyes, making his pupil contract, as he said in a thick and heavy voice, "I never thought it was really you who did it." Yao Qinglong took a deep breath before taking a step toward Yang Lu and saying in the same deep voice, "Since you've discovered the true cause of Master's death from second brother, this damned fool, then we don't need to hide it any longer. That's right. It was us who gave that geezer a poison that took effect slowly and finally killed him. So what, do you want to get revenge for that old fogey?" Yang Li's eyes turned bloodshot as he glared at the trio with a look of full hatred, wishing he could immediately hack their limbs and dismember their bodies into 8 pieces. 1. Today's matter can't end up in friendly terms, it seems. Yao Qinglong shook his head and sighed. "Yang Lu, you still have a chance to live. That is to take out all of the wealth of that geezer. Else, tonight will be the time of your death, period." Yang Lu gritted his teeth and bit his lips as he glared at the 3 aggressive scumbags. He finally looked upward and roared, "Tang Xiu, help me kill them. This Yang Lu pledges to serve you as your subordinate in the future. It's a deal." Tang Xiu's figure appeared in the hall like lightning. Behind him was Qi Nan, who was playing with a sharp dagger as she shot a playful smile at Yao Qinglong and the others. The moment Tang Xiu appeared, Yao Qinglong's face greatly changed. He could recognize his identity instantly, a member of the Tang family, the culprit who ruined his Yao family. "It's a trap!" Yao Qinglong roared and dashed toward the left corridor. Neither Tang Xiu nor Qi Nan moved. Just as Yao Qinglong ran across the corridor and was about to pass through the door, a large foot directly kicked his chest, sending him flying upside down and hitting the opposite door behind him and breaking it. Humph. From the smashed door, an expert of the everlasting feast hall easily grabbed his neck and strode to the living room and then threw him before Tang Xiu. Du Yonghe and Qiu Jian were flabbergasted. They never dreamed that things would turn out this way. Prior to this, they came here with greed filling their hearts, and trying to get the large fortune left by their master by killing Yang Lu. Never once they imagined that they would fall into a trap. "Who are you?" Panicked, Du Yonghe's horrified gaze withdrew from Yao Qinglong as he stared at Tang Xiu and roared. "You really are an idiot." Tang Xiu shook his head and smilingly said, "Given Yang Li's disposition, don't tell me you that didn't have a clue that he had something to rely on by staying here?" "Who I am, you ask? That's a very interesting question, you know. But I don't feel like I need to tell you myself, because that eldest senior brother of yours should know, right? Did I speak incorrectly, Yao Qinglong?" Blood flowed from the corner of Yao Qinglong's mouth as he attempted to get up from the floor. There was hatred in his eyes as he glared at Tang Xiu and spoke, "What you said is not wrong. I hail from the Yao family who got ruined by you. I just never thought that this stupid junior brother of mine turned out to be in cahoots with you and even deployed this trap to pull us in. What? Are you scared or something? Tang Xiu chuckled. Afraid? Only a few people in this world can make Yao Qinglong afraid. And you're simply not among them. Yang Qinglong straightened up and sneered. But I'm curious about something. How does Yang Lu know you? Tang Xiu pointed to the direction of the building nearby and said, we're neighbors. Neighbors? Yao Qinglong was so vexed, he felt like he got wronged and driven to death. Although the people he sent to investigate Yang Lu informed him that he lived in the Blue Star Villa complex, never once he expected that Tang Xiu would actually live here as well. Aka, I need your help. Yao Qinglong grabbed his mobile and spoke after dialing a number. You should be moving the reinforcement, right? Tang Xiu chuckled. All right. I'll give you plenty of time to showcase everything you got. Before this, however, let us remove the garbage, the shrimp soldiers and crab generals you brought here, so as not to be eyesores. As Tang Xiu's voice faded away, 6 bodies were thrown into the hall from various places. These people were the hiding martial artists brought by the Yao Qinglong trio. As the trio had their facial expressions changed greatly, Qinan dashed in and appeared in front of those stocky men as her dagger rose and fell, instantly slicing their throats. Blood splattered and their bodies fell to the floor, convulsing and gradually embracing their deaths. What a thick smell of blood. I really like it. A hoarse voice came from outside the hall. There was no footstep sound, but a thin figure appeared at the hall's door. The man was dressed in a black robe and had long, loose golden hair. His handsome face looked pale, making him look like the Grim Reaper. Qinan, who had just acted and killed 6 men and had returned to Tang Xiu's side, instantly squinted her eyes when she saw the man. She let out a faint playful smile and said, Grim Reaper Aka, you like the smell of blood, eh? Then stay here, I'll personally make you smell your own blood. Aka, who had a British look, looked toward Qinan and his body suddenly shuddered as he clearly saw Chinan's face. His pupils momentarily contracted and moved to run away almost subconsciously. Come back here. Tang Xiu's figure streaked toward the outside like lightning and blocked Aka's path in the blink of an eye. Along with a barrage of fists toward Aka's chest, the man was straightly sent back into the hall. What? Yao Qinglong's body shook as he could hardly believe his eyes. He knew very well who Aka was, an expert he had hired from that organization for a huge sum of money. But an expert recognized by that organization was so easily defeated by Tang Xiu? After struggling to get up from the floor, Aka's eyes only stayed on Tang Xiu for a moment before they eventually landed on Qinan, as he spoke with a terrified expression. Lady Instructor, I didn't expect to see you here. It's really a great honor to be able to see your graceful figure once again in my life. Chapter 584, Getting to the Root of the Matter. Aka had seen too many existences with dreadful strength. Even though Tang Xiu's strength was extraordinary, he still didn't think he was more dreadful than Qinan. In his eyes, Qinan was simply a female devil who could kill without batting an eye. She had once purged the Mexican drug dealers and was ranked amongst the topmost international terrifying forces. Encountering this fiendish instructor who had once trained him the first time he came to China was something Aka had never expected. Moreover, they were actually standing on opposite sides. He still vividly remembered what Qinan had once said to him, perhaps you are now my student, but if we ever become enemies in the future, I will employ the more venomous and ruthless measures to make you regret having me as your enemy. Mentally disturbed, Aka now hated Yao Qinglong. He couldn't care less if he provoked someone, but he would never involve himself in provoking this fiendish instructor. It's been 4 or 5 years since the last time we met, right, Aka? Qinan lightly said. I never thought that you would actually become someone's running dog and also my enemy. Lady Instructor, you misunderstood. Aka looked tragic and panicked. Yao Qinglong only hired me, I have no relationship with him whatsoever. He gave a large sum of money to the organization, which tasked me to help him. Had I known you were here, I wouldn't have dared to come even if I were to be given all the Citibank's money. Furrowing his brows, Tang Shou looked at Qi Nan and lightly asked, "You know him?" After retracting her cold and proud expression, Qi Nan replied respectfully, "He is someone I once trained back then, boss. A quite remarkable hitman from the Arabian Stygian Club. However, I don't know about the organization he's currently affiliated with." Nodding in response, Tang Shou then looked at Aka and asked, "Tell me the name of your organization." Aka's lips quivered a few times before he shook his head, "I can't, else I'll face a tragic death." "You'll die even more tragically if you don't." Tang Shou indifferently replied, "Don't be fooled by the thought of surviving, though. I'm hailed as a divine doctor in China. I have the means to make you suffer unimaginable pain and yet still remain alive to taste it. Tell me. Else you will be in for hellish pain for days and nights." Aka had a change in expression. Though Tang Shou spoke in very lame English, he could still understand what he said. He also heard that the so-called divine doctors in China had very mysterious abilities. He also dreaded the doctor profession because there existed a doctor killer in the organization, who possessed both the ability to save lives and kill people, and using it for torture was absolutely terrible. "I can't say it, else my entire family will be implicated." Aka bitterly shook his head. Tang Shou squinted his eyes as a few silver needles appeared out of nowhere in his hand. As his figure flashed, the needles pierced Du Yonghe and Xiao Jian's bodies. He then moved again as his body flicked back to his previous spot. Arg! Even in their dreams, Du Yonghe and Xiao Jian had never expected that Tang Shou would strike at them because of Aka's refusal. The most painful thing for them was that the hellish pain that burst out inside their bodies when the silver needles pierced their bodies. The two men's bodies fell to the floor a few seconds after, as each muscle in their bodies twitched. Their faces distorted. Greenish veins and blood vessels bulged out all over their bodies, causing them to fall down, twitching and rolling about on the floor. Tang Shou no longer paid attention to them and even ignored Aka. He looked at Yao Qinglong instead and smilingly said, "It's needless for me to elaborate kind of fate you will face, no? Since I have the ability to kill the patriarch of your Yao family and ruin them, it explains that I possess terrifying power and surpass what you had imagined. Therefore, tell me everything you do overseas, all your wealth, what organization you've joined, and so on. Of course, if you honestly and sincerely hand them over, and pay quite a hefty price, I can promise to keep you alive." While looking at his two junior brothers who were wailing in anguish and rolling about on the floor, a chill ran through his whole body and invaded his heart at this time. Tang Shou's threat to Aka just now was, in fact, also a threat to him. He knew perfectly well what kind of abilities the so-called divine doctors possessed. He even knew that Chinese divine doctors were even more terrifying than international professors and doctors, who engaged in the Western medical field. "Can you really guarantee my life?" Yao Qinglong shot Tang Shou a deep look, glancing at Qi Nan and Aka, as he finally asked with a helpless and desperate expression. "Of course." Tang Shou nodded. "But it depends on your performance, too. I am by no means a butcher, nor do I like to kill people. Else, it would definitely be impossible for your Yao family to keep on living." "All right. Then, I'll tell you everything." "I just want you to keep your word," replied Yao Qinglong in a deep voice. Aka's expression greatly changed as he shouted, "Did you forget the death rule of the organization, Yao Qinglong? You will die a tragic death if you dare to tell others." "I know I'll die a tragic death if I expose it, but I'm afraid my death will be even worse if I don't speak now." Yao Qinglong shook his head. "Aka, Tang Shou is very terrifying, the most dreadful existence I ever encountered. Don't tell me you haven't realized it yet, since he can make even your instructor his subordinate?" Aka's breathing turned heavy and fell into silence. Afterward, Yao Qinglong told everything in great detail. More than 10 years ago, the Yao family's head, Yao Qingzuan, ordered him to manage the family business overseas. The Yao family operated many types of businesses overseas, where they invested a colossal amount of funds. After several years of development, Yao Qinglong ruthlessly annexed the businesses of several families, and the total assets had finally reached tens of billions USD. Later on, he trained a large number of men abroad with aid from the Stygian Club, secretly swallowing many small families and the wealth of rich and powerful people as his own. The power he held was only slightly inferior to Beijing's Yao family. The Stygian Club was an organization composed of 3 major forces at the core, with 12 families and more than 40 affiliated forces. As of today, the Stygian Club definitely ranked among the top 3 organizations with the most powerful forces in the world. Furthermore, the Stygian Club also had a special department dedicated to assassinations, intelligence, regulatory bureau, mercenary groups, security companies, financial teams, and many more. The number of talents under it was simply too many to count. Aka was a member of the assassination department and was ranked in the few hundreds inside the department. After listening to Yao Qinglong's narration, everyone in the room was quite shocked. Even Tang Xiu himself looked solemn as he could faintly sense the terror the Stygian Club posed. Who is the person who holds the highest authority in the Stygian Club? Tang Xiu found that Yao Qinglong didn't say this point and immediately asked in a heavy voice. I don't know. Yao Qinglong shook his head. Tang Xiu looked at Aka and coldly asked, what about you? Can you tell me? I wouldn't tell you even if I knew it. Aka said, but that's out of my knowledge, too. Nobody knows the leader of our Stygian Club except the 3 major forces and the senior members among the 12 families. Tang Xiu nodded. Yao Qinglong, I will not ask anymore since you only know this much. What I want to know next is, why did you return home and even eyed the magnificent Tang Corporation? Is it because you want to get the product's formula, or is it due to someone from the Stygian Club wanting to get those formulas? As if he was ready to stake everything, Yao Qinglong said, it's Duff, the patriarch of the Moyes family, one of the 12 family powers. Tang Xiu nodded and ordered, kill all of them except Yao Qinglong. The experts of the Everlasting Feast Hall acted instantly and easily killed Aka, Du Yonghe, and Qiu Jian. Yao Qinglong secretly felt fortunate that his choice was correct. He knew that Tang Xiu was ruthless, hence chose to cooperate well and told everything. Even if he hid some things, he was sure that everything he said had great effect on Tang Xiu. I just found that you're the only outstanding one left among the Yao family, Yao Qinglong. Tang Xiu smilingly said, I had given you my word that I won't kill you, but I never said that my men won't. You're very good, nevertheless, so I'll give you a chance to live. Along with these words, the restlessness inside Yao Qinglong's heart finally vanished. He realized that the price he would have to pay was enormous, but he would never refuse it for a chance to go on living. Thus, he replied with all seriousness, Mr. Tang, please do speak. Transfer all the wealth under your control to my name. Tang Xiu said, I'll send you with my men abroad to receive all of them from you. You should have understood clearly that the more capital you have, the more threat you pose to me. So, what do you say? Yao Qinglong was silent for a while, and then answered, let me make a phone call first to tell my men to transfer all the money to my account in the Bank of Switzerland. Also, the floating liquidity of several big company groups under my control will be handed over to you along with their extension industries. One who knows how to act according to circumstances is a wise one, and you are a very good one at that. Tang Xiu gave a thumbs up and praised. Qi Nan, I'll hand over the full authority to handle this matter to you. I'll contact Xiao Xue later to send some men to aid you. Understood. Qi Nan's eyes lit up and immediately replied with an excited expression. The authority Tang Xiu gave her was quite enormous. She knew perfectly well that if she could handle this matter to perfection, her status in the Everlasting Feast Hall would be greatly elevated, and even be on par with Hao Lei and Tian Li. Is this solution agreeable to you? Asked Tang Xiu as he looked at Yang Lu. As a matter of fact, Yang Lu wanted Yao Qinglong to die, because the man was nothing but trouble for him. However, since Tang Shou wanted to get his wealth, he knew that it would probably be difficult for him to kill Yao Qinglong. However, he still nodded silently despite feeling a bit dissatisfied inside. All right. I'm sure Yao Qinglong will no longer bother you again. Yao Qinglong, is what I said understood? Said Tang Shou. I swear that I'll take a detour whenever I see Yang Lu ever again in the future, said Yao Qinglong quickly. Tang Shou nodded with satisfaction as he spoke to Yang Lu in a very low voice. I think it would be a very good choice for you to go with Qi Nan since you want to go overseas. You may deal with Yao Qinglong as you like when everything's done. Chapter 585, The Duty of a Boyfriend. Being able to solve the threat from Yao Qinglong was a bolt from the blue and was unexpected for Tang Shou, more so that he learned some confidential matters as well. As for the existence of the Stygian Club, he had long known that such colossal powers existed in the world, such as the force that had laid their hands on his father. He had also sent people to investigate the Stygian Club and was sure that he would soon receive detailed information on it soon. Wealth and armed forces were now the two most important issues that Tang Shou put his thought into aside from promoting his cultivation. With a steady stream of accumulated wealth, unceasing allocation of the money to develop armed forces, and training a large number of elite martial artists would be required to have more power to speak in the world. Inside the villa, Tang Shou put all these thoughts in the back of his mind before imparting some medical knowledge to Dai Xinyue and returning to his bedroom, on the second floor. Yang Lu had left in secret, whereas Qi Nan had taken Yao Qinglong away and was preparing to bring him overseas in secret to receive his wealth. Tang Shou was not the kind of man whose words were so heavy like sacred tripods, for he too would sometimes go back on his word against a foe like this time. To those who were on his side, however, he always kept his promises. The next day, just as Tang Shou arrived at the campus, Mu Weining stopped him at the campus entrance. She obviously put on some light makeup and a stylish dress, revealing her eye-catching distinctive beautiful looks. Sweetheart, can you skip classes today? Mu Weining smilingly asked. Tang Shou couldn't help laughing. I'm a good student. I have never been absent without a leave. Anyhow, since sweetheart rarely speaks, it may not that impossible if the excuse is sufficient. Pfft. Mu Weining covered her mouth as she chuckled, and then said, anyhow, the business I run kind of flourished recently, so I earned some money. Therefore, I'm planning to buy a house, and I'm going to stay in Shanghai to expand my wings after graduation. You want to stay in Shanghai? Why so? Asked Tang Shou, surprised. To avoid disputes and trouble, that's why, answered Mu Weining. Are you talking about your family? Asked Tang Shou with a thoughtful expression. The smile on Mu Weining's face receded, a helpless expression replacing it. She nodded and said, though my family is not as big as your Tang family, it's by far not as united as yours. If it was not because of pressure from my granddad, I'm afraid that my family would have been torn apart already. And recently, my granddad's health is kinda deteriorating. Though no major problems have arisen, yet, my big and younger uncles have already begun to stir up some troubles. With me staying in Shanghai to expand my wings kind of leaves a way out for myself in the future. Your idea is correct. Tang Shou nodded said, it's necessary to avoid troubles if you're not ready to compete for power and authority. If so, let us go then. I'll accompany you searching for a house. Mu Weining let out a faint smile. There was something inside her heart that she didn't speak out. Her decision to stay in Shanghai to develop herself was not entirely because of the disputes in her family, as part of the reason was related to Tang Shou. She knew clearly well that Tang Shou wouldn't settle in Shanghai in the future, but he would stay for at least 4 years. She was the type of woman who was very difficult to fall in love, but she would be dead set on the man she loved once she did. Despite knowing very well that Tang Shou would continue to blossom in the future given his abilities, And for him to have only one woman was near to impossible, yet she wanted to fight for her own happiness. Thus she must take the initiative to secure her own place in Tang Xiu's heart. Tang Xiu came to campus on foot, so the duo strolled back to the Blue Star Villa complex and then went to the garage. This is a Koenigsegg Adra R? As the electric door slowly opened, Mu Weining saw the luxury sports cars parked inside. Tang Xiu's eyes flickered as he suddenly remembered that when he went to Jingmen Island a while ago, his aunt, Tang Min, told him that there was a good luxury sports car abroad, so she had one ordered for him and had it delivered to the Blue Star Villa complex. He drove the Range Rover when he returned home and had it parked in the yard. He didn't open the garage back then, so he hadn't yet seen the sports car. Regarding luxury cars, he had never researched them, thus he was oblivious to their names. Without waiting for Tang Xiu's reply, Mu Weining hurriedly ran toward the sports car and found that it had been covered by dust. She then looked for a towel and a bucket of water before she seriously cleaned it. A new sports car presented before them. Tang Xiu watched Mu Weining doing the chore. After Mu Weining finally dropped the towel into the bucket, he smiled and said, "All right, let's drive this car out today since you like it so much. There's no harm doing this once in a while. It looks really great." Mu Weining laughed. "I have seen the appearance of this car and its presentation on a car magazine, but I have never seen it in real life, though. Is this car very famous?" asked Tang Xiu curiously. Mu Weining looked at Tang Xiu with a strange expression before saying, "The Koenigsegg brand really isn't that well known among the supercars, and its popularity is far behind the Ferraris and Bugattis. But this Swedish company's Adra R is equipped with a twin-turbocharged V8 engine that gives it a maximum power of 1,124 horsepower, with a top speed of 440 kilometers per hour. The most awesome thing about this car is that it only takes 2.8 seconds to accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, and an awesome 11.7 seconds to reach 300 kilometers per hour. Do you know how much it costs?" "How much?" asked Tang Xiu. 10 million yuan, said Mu Weining with a serious face. Despite having quite a fortune himself, Tang Xiu was still shocked by this figure. It never crossed his mind that his aunt, Tang Min, actually spent her hard-earned money like this. Before this one, the total value of those 4 cars was over 10 million, and now, this single car was priced at over 10 million yuan. Isn't this akin to him ruining his own family? What do you think? Mu Weining laughed. Could it be that Big Boss Tang is scared by this number? It's not like I'm scared by number. I just feel that it's way too extravagant. Tang Xiu shook his head. Besides, 10 million is an amount ordinary people find too difficult to get in their lifetime. To think that so much money was spent on this car is it's really strange. Mu Weining commented, "You don't seem to know about your cars at all." "I went to Jingmen Island a few days ago." Tang Xiu wryly smiled. "My aunt called me then, saying that she ordered me a car from abroad. Since she had already sent me 4 cars, so I was rather casual and ordering one again, as I thought that it wouldn't matter much. After returning, I've been driving the Land Rover the whole time. Since Chi-Nan drove that car last night, hence it's my first time opening the garage door again after that. Who would have thought it would be such a luxury sports car? Your aunt really loves you." Mu Weining sighed. "Anyways, shall we go, sweetheart? Give me a drive around." "How about you drive it?" Tang Xiu's face scrunched up. "All right, then I'll drive it." Mu Weining thought for a moment before smilingly replying, "Driving this luxury sports car must be quite great." 2 minutes later, Mu Weining drove the Adra R sports car out of Blue Star Villa complex. Just from the inside of the complex to the exit, it already attracted the attention of many people. Even the security guards on duty stood perfectly straight and saluted more smartly than normally. It was the sound and beauty of the car. Tang Xiu suddenly felt that he was a silk pants, the second-generation nouveau riche who drove a luxury car with a belle. If there were red wine to savor along with cigars added, wasn't it akin to a fairy-like life? How about having a few cups of wine after we see the house, Wei? We seem to have passed by several good bars, and the atmosphere seems good, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Okay. Mu Weining replied with a faint smile. Where are we going? Have you done any searching before? Asked Tang Xiu with a smile. I have done an online search and quite like the Lauren Villa complex, said Mu Weining. The location of the complex is a bit far, however, and it takes more than an hour driving from my company. And it's outside the rush hour in case of traffic jam. Century Classic Villa complex is pretty good as well, but it's not a single villa. I like single villas, and it's better to have a villa with a private pool. Tang Xiu hesitated for a moment before replying, then let's go have a look at both. We'll see which one you finally like the most. Okay. Mu Weining nodded with a smile. As the Adra Art drove on the avenue, it was like a strong magnet that attracted the attention of many people, who looked at them with envy and fantasizing when they would have such a cool and awesome luxury car. Lauren Villa Complex. Han Jintong comfortably sat on the terrace of the villa, basking in the sun while smoking a cigarette. He had seen and gone through a lot of things with his old age. Therefore, aside from cultivation, he enjoyed the remaining years of his life every day. It could be said that he was the one who enjoyed life the most among the residents of this villa complex. Of course. He was also the one who had the best personal connections. It would have been more perfect if second brother's family of 3 come back from abroad. He squinted his eyes to have a broad look at the distant scenery in the villa complex. A luxury sports car was slowly entering the complex, making him a bit surprised. It was because he was always spending his time basking in the sun, thus he had seen most of the luxury cars in the complex. But he was sure that he had never seen this very alluring sports car. Is it another prodigal son playing with his new car again? Han Jintong sighed as his vision followed the car as it finally parked in front of the property management office about 200 to 300 meters away. From his position, he was able to see the car parked in front of the office. Huh? When the luxury supercar parked and the man and woman got out, his expression moved and exclaimed lightly, Tang Xiu? He admitted that he was old already, but he definitely wouldn't admit that he had presbyopia at all. He could distinctly recognize that the handsome young man was Tang Xiu. He dreaded Tang Xiu's identity very much, and he also wished to have a bit of friendship with him. A pity that his treasured granddaughter, Han Qinggu, was Tang Xiu's teacher and there seemed to be some unpleasant things between the two, else he could hope that Han Qinggu could become Tang Xiu's girlfriend and even better, becoming his wife in the future.